Good morning, garden friends. Welcome back. I've got a great little episode for you today. It is harvest time here in the Jordan household, but not exactly the harvest you might think. All right, so today we're actually going to be harvesting compost. I've been working on this compost pile for probably 2-3 years now. I've been doing a few videos on it. I've had a lot of great little comments on what's going on here, but I'm actually long overdue, to be honest, for a harvest of this. It's kind of gotten out of control. Typically, you would kind of create maybe more piles as you went along. I don't have that much space, so I basically am relegated to this one little footprint here where I can kind of expand a little bit, but I don't have enough space in my backyard. It's relatively compact to create more piles. So it is long overdue. It's time for me to harvest what is ready, the finished compost. I'll show you some images of this pile here, give you some close-ups. So part of the pile is all fresh material, leaves, sticks, twigs, lawn clippings, maybe some dead plants, things like that are getting added to the pile constantly. I have a lot of mature trees in my yard. I've got these evergreen loquats here right behind you that continually drop leaves and that are pretty thick leaves. I've got big oak trees here. I've got a couple sequoias in my backyard and a few others as well. So I get a lot of organic matter that just builds up in my yard naturally. And normally I'd have to rake it up, put it in the grain waste bins and send it off. But what's nice is I've been working on the compost pile here, and now it's been growing. I've been taking all that waste and been recycling it back into some fresh compost that we can utilize. And so in today's video, I know I'm a little bit long-winded here, we're going to be utilizing the fresh compost in a couple of different ways. We are going to be using it as a top dressing. So that's what we're going to do first. I'm going to harvest with the shovel and the wheelbarrow. We're going to fill that wheelbarrow up with fresh, rich compost. We're going to take it out front. I've got a couple trees out there, some Japanese maples, some acers. They're beautiful, 3 of them. Two red ones and a green one, and I love them. 2 lace leaves and a broadleaf. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pull back all that mulch around them. Any weeds that might be out there are going to have to get removed, because I don't want to just be putting compost just on top of weeds that are already thriving, especially like Bermuda grass and things like that. You just don't want that. So we'll pull all that material away, and then we'll add this compost maybe a few inches thick. A couple little tips and tricks we'll do as we go there, but it's simple. It's simple stuff, to be honest. And then I'm probably going to be sifting a little bit, and then I might have to break this even into 2 videos because we'll do top dressing, but I also want to try to make some homemade potting soil with the compost we have here, and that's a little bit more involved, but also really easy to do. Just going to take a little bit of time, so let's get after it. As I mentioned, I'll show you, we got a couple really mature trees. There's actually 2 sequoias right there in a row, though they're lined up. And then you can see I got some pretty solid oak trees, some quercus, got some valley oaks here. And they're just, obviously one of my favorite trees for those of you who know me. And these ones just put out. This is my canopy over my backyard. And one of the things I'm very thankful for is these big trees here. And so what it is they just drop tons and tons of material. And so let's take a peek. So sticks, twigs, there's the sequoia leaves and branches, and of course lawn clippings as well. I have a very small little patch of greenery there that you probably saw. And so that produces some lawn clippings, and that gets added in as well. All right, so as you can see, I'm still been adding, even though it's not even fall, right? We're in the late spring here. Still lots of material I have to add to this pile all the time as I work on the yard. Lots of a little bit of grass clippings from my little patch there, and sticks, twigs, all the other organic matter that we had. But you can see this is all stuff. So you can see I can't go out and use this so much as a top dressing right now. Although you kind of could if you had to, but it's just not ideal. It's not compost yet. It's not broken down enough. It's just raw. Some of it's still green, and so you really are going to have to show you the difference between here. Here's some more material that's all fresh. You can see it's just kind of like stuff you'd rake up. This is the material that the leaves drop. Cut material that the leaves drop, cut materials that the trees drop create a fantastic base for your compost pile. But this material is not ready. You can just look at it; it's not ready. Like I said, some of those leaves, it's not even nearly broken down, compared to on the back side here, where I haven't been adding too much fresh material, where this has been here for a while. You can see it's nice and looks more akin to just typical, what you would call dirt, soil. And this material looked just like the other stuff I just showed you. So that, not too long ago, this all the stuff right here that you're seeing, all this black, nice, dark soil, it was sticks and twigs and branches and whatnot and leaves, yard waste essentially, and now it's broken down into this. This is what we're after today. We're gonna scoop up a bunch. I'm gonna fill up a wheelbarrow full, or as much as, actually I wanna try to separate as much of the finished compost out of this pile as I humanly, as it is possible for me. It's kind of difficult. I got the baby here, and we're, you know, taking turns trying to, you know, with the wife to make sure the baby's well cared for, and that she's also well cared for. It can be difficult and tricky, but we'll balance that today. I'm going to try to separate as much of this pile as I possibly can. All right, so I made it to the front yard with a nice full wheelbarrow of compost. Problem is we're gonna be adding it to a few trees here. I've got 3 Japanese maples here that I just love, love, love. They're beautiful. Although the bummer part is when I planted them several years back, we had a huge oak tree in this front yard kind of behind me that was massive, like a 60-footer, tall and wide, huge, 100 plus years old. It got sick and did not do well and had to be taken out. It was dying. And it was a really bummer, big bummer. But now these trees get quite a bit more sun than they originally were going to be exposed to. And so you can see they do, in the summertime, they do get a little bit burnt, but they actually have survived. And now that they've matured a little bit, I think they're going to make it through. It's just, they do get quite a bit of hot summer sun out here that they never really were supposed to get. But they survived it. It's not ideal for them, but they've done well. That's not what we're here to talk about. I could talk about maples, Japanese maples, all dang day, but I want to talk about adding this compost as a top dressing. What we're going to do is we're actually, you can see I got a bit of mulch out here, kind of a natural leaf mulch, and so we're going to peel back whatever mulch we have, or you have as well. We're going to peel that back around the base of the tree, give it about a foot or two pulled back, and then that'll give us a spot where we can add in all this nice compost. I got a few tools here to help me. I got a shovel, I've got a rake, and I've got an oscillating hoe. And so with that we're going to do is put that on display today to show you what it is. I can't put down compost. Look at this. I've been gone for a few weeks, and or at least from my duties gone with the baby and whatnot. And so I've got some Bermuda grass that came back from where all this watering of this tree, and I was thinking maybe get the weed trimmer out, but you know what? That is just going to it'll only cut it down so far. I got to get my cultivator out. We're going to slice this up. And then that way I'm not just adding compost straight on top of those weeds, because they'll just grow right through it and be like, thank you for all that wonderful compost, loved it. So we're going to remove as much of that Bermuda grass as possible, if not all of it, and then we'll also, like I said, pull back all the leaf mulch from around these trees, give us a nice little perimeter that we can add in, 2-3 inches of compost. We're not going to bury the compost up against the trunk of these trees. We're going to try to create some space there, because we don't want to do that. Same thing with mulch. You don't want to kind of pile. It's not really helpful to pile up mulch against the stem of the tree. They're not going to enjoy that. So we'll make sure that we let these the trunk bases and the root collar kind of breathe a bit. But we do want to get in some wonderful compost, because what that's going to do is that's going to enrich the soil. It's going to help feed the tree with nutrition. All that organic matter is going to help loosen that soil, absorb more moisture from the rain, hold it longer. Create some wonderful biology in the soil, although we've already kind of got a bit of that going out here, but it's just going to increase it, and these trees will appreciate it. Like I said, they originally were going to be in an area where they were almost in constant shade, and then this tree behind me, which would have been behind me, that it had to be removed. And so now these trees have survived these last few years of having that tree. I think the tree's been gone maybe 4 or 5 years now. It's hard to say. Time flies, baby. But yeah, so they get roasted. So we're going to give them a little bit of love today. Let's see if we can do it. I'll show you a little Let's get after it. Hey, well, that hula hoe or that oscillating cultivator did the trick pretty well. I don't know if you saw that, but that was actually pretty good. I know there's a time lapse, but it actually didn't take that long. That was just a few minutes. Takes a bit of effort. Definitely, you got to put your back into it for sure. A little bit of strength, but I'm not that strong, and I could do it. So there you go. But now I think we're ready to go. Let me show you some close-ups. You can see right here. You can see right around that tree. We've got it cleared out, a couple feet around it. The mulch is pulled back, and I'm actually going to probably be adding some wood chip mulch to this area in the near future as well. So maybe an inch or two on top of what was already here. So maybe even more actually, because yeah, they could always use it. But let's take a look at the other spots. So what I did is I basically used my little leaf rake here to gently rake away some of that top layer of material away from our trunks, about a foot or two at least, because we got quite a bit of compost to add. And I think we're about ready to go. You can see we've got it cleared out here. We've got this one cleared out as well, where all those weeds were. I'm probably gonna go back over it one more time to remove any the rhizomes. Look at that. That's the Bermuda grass. Want to kill those, remove those. We'll get them out of here. We don't compost those around here. Well, I'll get them to the green waste bin and get them gone. But then you can see around my third tree, this is also cleared out. Looks like a little bird's nest in there, right? That's cleared out and ready to go. So we're gonna add in maybe 2-3 inches of fresh compost in a ring around these trees. We're gonna be sure not to cover up the trunk. If there are some roots that have been exposed due to erosion over time, you can probably cover those a little bit, and you know, with feeling good. But I wouldn't go up the tree trunk. I wouldn't be packing soil and compost against that trunk going up. It's not going to be great for it. But let's do it. All right, there's no secret to it. We're just going to get this compost in and around this tree. Maybe get it even as possible. You definitely want to do it nice and thick. But we also don't, like I said, I've been mentioning, you don't want to mound it against the trunk of your tree, because that could suffocate it if you do too much. A little bit you probably get away with, but if you start packing up, going up the trunk higher and higher, some trees just aren't gonna like that. They're not gonna be happy with you. So I'm gonna lay it on pretty thick. This tree is pretty good size. It's probably about 10-foot tall tree, maybe what, 3 meters if you're in a different country. So it's getting pretty good height. But what I want to do is I want to get it taller. I want to get broader. I want to take care of it. It gets pretty hot out here. Like I said, they have adapted to the sun to survive it, even though they kind of prefer a bit of shade in the hot afternoon sun. I'm here in Sacramento region, and it gets really hot in the summertime, you know, up over 100 sometimes, although today is actually just relatively cool. It's not too hot. Actually, you saw me, I'm wearing a long sleeve, and it's like almost summertime in pants. But just because these last couple days have been nice and cool, I can't complain. That's why I'm able to get out here and get some work done, even though I'm exhausted. Baby kept me up all night, helping feed the baby from like basically midnight till like morning. You know, 30 minutes naps in between. All right, so here's how I do this big one. I'm probably gonna get in there with my rake and just kind of rake this all out. I'm gonna add a bit more, but that's really basically it. And then when I'm done, I'll kind of, like I said, I'm gonna add additional mulch to this area, a couple inches of wood chip mulch, as well as I have a natural leaf mulch layer here in this garden, and some pre-existing wood chips in here, but it's gotten thinned out over the years, and so it's time to replenish it. And I actually have my hands on a bit, and so probably load some up and get it going. Oh, here you go. See a little plant label in there. You don't want to add that. That'll go in the trash. But that's basically it. That's how we add compost as a top layer. We're it's really easy. Like I said, you can use your hand, kind of rake it around. You can go up to the trunk, but like I said, you don't want to start burying that trunk up. If you do it just a little bit, that helps, but if you do a bit more, that's also good too. If you notice any plant material that's still living, any weeds or rhizomes from your weeds, get those gone, because they'll just take off. They'll appreciate the compost as well. And so you want to make sure you get a handle on that. I know this has been a long video, but compost is king or queen. Compost is key to garden success. It doesn't mean you want to be planting only in compost, and there are some, you know, so you want to balance it out. But typically, when most folks are adding compost to their garden, whether they're established beds, which can be very helpful to do, or your vegetable beds that you're actively gardening, compost is just a great way to increase soil fertility, to increase your ability to have soil hold water and air, depending upon your compost mix and how your soil is. But it just really increases your soil fertility, and it reduces, for us out here, especially in the front yard, it reduces how much water I have to put on these trees, because typically the soil wasn't that organically rich, right? So water would kind of just shoot, and it wouldn't absorb that well, and it would kind of sheet off. It really kind of hard pan a bit. Over the years, we've been adding in tons and tons of compost here and working it in, not tons, actually maybe tons to a degree, and it's made a massive difference. And so it helps in my garden. I hope it can help in your garden. If you have any comments or questions, please put those in the you know, right below. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this videos, please like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to have you back. And like I said, I'm still learning, and I'd hope to learn from you as well. So happy gardening, best wishes. Take care now. Bye-bye then.